So yeah, good afternoon and welcome to the QPR webinar on why processes are so crucial for business performance improvement in 2021. Anytime you have any questions, you can put them under the question box in this presentation or in this webinar. And today we will be focusing on why you should care about your processes, why they are important, and how they relate to business performance, why you should analyze processes and what you gain by analyzing them, and then lastly, how do you analyze your processes and what kind of methods there are to analyzing processes. And lastly, we will wrap up this and sum up these topics. So firstly, why they are important. These present some kind of typical problems in business. So there can be that you are not getting the best out of your automation, or you don't know where to start, or maybe your customers are telling you that they received the wrong kind of products or they weren't delivered in time or something like that. And of course, these are problems in business, but often they result from bad processes. And this is because processes are essentially everything that you do in your business. So whatever you do in your business, there is some kind of process behind it. And it's really important to understand those processes so that you can, again, improve your business. And as a very basic example, if someone is not familiar with the really basic process structure, I use a sawmill. So as an input, we would have some kind of different kinds of woods that go into the sawmill, and we would call this as an input. So for example, processes could be purchasing or vendor management. So you purchase some woods from some guy who has chopped them down, and then you have this value creation part. So basically the production process or maybe the order handling process is over there as examples. And then as an output, you would have planks that are just as the customer expects to have them and what they pay for. So it's the correct size and it's the correct type of wood that they want and so on. And then some processes along with that would be invoicing or error handling. So invoicing means that you would actually get the cash out from your customers so that you would again do your business. And of course, in business excellence, customer and customer satisfaction is always the center of it all. So how does customer satisfaction and processes then work together? Well, in order to have business excellence, you first of all need happy flow. So this means that when you are doing operations and activities in your business, you are doing them as agreed in the process you are doing. So this means internal efficiency, or basically it's the efficiency of your processes. Then you would like to have automation. So with automation, you are able to cut costs and do things faster, and you will be able to do more things in the same time. And you can have automation for specific process activities, or then for the whole end-to-end process, which is typically the end goal, at least in automation implementations. So now we have internal efficiency and process automation. And the third box is the customer satisfaction. So we want to have a happy customer. And how can you get a happy customer? Well, you need to keep your promise to the customer. So you will deliver those blanks early or on time, and you will deliver them exactly the correct size and exactly the correct type as they purchase it, because that's what they are again paying. And the combination of these three turns into business excellence. So you automatically do the things first time right, and you produce only perfect orders. And this allows you to increase profit because you will be able to cut costs because if you have happy flow, you don't have rework, If you have happy automation, you can do things faster, so you don't waste time. And 10, with customer satisfaction, they are going to tell their friends that we love this guy. They always give us good products, so that will produce you more sales. And of course, this will again increase your profits. And then another common theme within business and within processes is digital transformation. So probably many of you have heard of digital transformation, and basically it's an umbrella term for many other topics within business. So how do these topics then collaborate with processes? Well, basically business processes are associated with all of these topics that are presented here. There can of course be more topics here, just a few of them. But for example, you would think of data. Well, of course, data is a part of digital transformation, but where is that data made? That's made in business processes, and you will be able to gather the data from the processes. Or consolidating systems. Well, if you're consolidating IT systems, you also need to consolidate your IT systems into processes and your processes into each other. So that's kind of go hand in hand. And with good processes, you will do better on all of these topics. And by doing better on these topics, you will also be able to fasten your digital transformation journey and make it smoother. And then the third topic would be automation. So first of all, why would you ever do automation? The high-level purpose of automation would be to, well, increase revenue, reduce costs, and then again improve profit. And how processes and automation work together? Well, I created this kind of an example. So we take this sawmill, and what the customer expects is perfect size planks and of the correct wood type. And if we would think about this kind of a sawmill production process, which would be creating this kind of planks, so you can see that there are different sizes and different types, but you would only want to make of one particular size and one particular height, and you would choose. You have heard that you need to automate operations, and you would just straight dive into automating. You would not think of processes or anything like that. You would not improve your processes before you automate things. If you are already producing something that the customer doesn't want, so basically waste, and you would automate this process, what do you think will happen in the end? Will your automation be successful?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so you would only create more waste, because with the automation you would create these same products, but you would create them faster. So if you don't consider the process before automation, you just create more efficiently waste. So that's probably not what you want from automation. Instead, what you want to do is to first improve the process and then automate. So you want to first have the planks exactly as the customer ordered them, and then when you automate the process, then you will be able to make more of the correct products that the customers want to buy, and you will be able to reach the return on investments of your automation implementation. And you will not be wasting any of your money fixing all those rework issues on the process above. So this was only an example of the production part over here. So only this one process basically here. But these apply for rest of these so-called back office processes as well. So for example, you can have some orders that are being reworked, some information is mismatching or something like that. You can also have credit notes happening in your process. So when you are doing invoicing, you may have credit notes or something like that. Or maybe you have arranged some discounts with specific vendors, but then for some reason your purchasing team is not taking an advantage of those discounts and you are basically losing money like that. So you would probably like to investigate why that is happening and therefore improve the process. So even though these back office processes may not be as visible as the production process, they are just as important, and you should consider those processes and you should improve them. Right. So then, why should you analyze processes and what do you benefit from analyzing them? First of all, in order to improve a process, you will need to understand where you are at. So by analyzing processes, you are able to get an as-is situation of your business performance. So you will be able to see where you are at right now, and you will be able to have discussion on what are we lacking in, what are we doing good, what should we do about things. And often in large and complex processes, you have these IT systems. And when the processes are large enough and there's a lot of activities happening daily, the IT systems like ERP and CRM systems, they can appear as a black box because you know that there is a lot of stuff happening daily, but you don't really quite understand what exactly is happening in these processes. And that's really one important thing on why you should analyze these processes, because by analyzing the processes, you will be able to essentially understand what actually happens in there that you could improve, or what is actually causing the problem that you have solved by analyzing the process. And I can see a question. So there's a how about a service company? So the last example was about a production company basically, but the service company is pretty much the same. So you would have those back office, so you would have invoicing and you would maybe buy some kind of tools or something like that from your vendors to do those services, and you definitely want to have happy customers that are happy with your services. So basically those back-end processes are pretty much the same even though you are in a service company or a production company. And typically these kind of services and products can go hand in hand within the same company. So yeah, processes are definitely important for your service companies also. And like if you are thinking about the service process, you want to have the activities in that process go in a standard way every time, so that the customers know what they can expect, and that you can, again, if you are always doing the same things in the same manner, then you know if some problems occur that you can improve those because you understand what is happening in those processes. And with this understanding, we have gathered a foundation for improvement. So if you are not understanding where you are at, it's really hard to improve further. So in order to improve, you benchmark yourself against industry standards so that you can see which fields you are good at, which fields you could improve on. And this allows you to, again, select the best options for your improvement implementations or improvement projects. So of course you will have restricted amount of resources reserved for improvement and so on. So you definitely want to catch those low-hanging fruits first that bring you the most benefit within the less time, rather than straight up going for the hardest and most challenging improvement project that may again not be as beneficial as some other parts of the operations. So by improving first, you are then being able to automate more efficiently. And process analysis for automation is also important, because when you are automating, you need to decide on which method of automation you want to go first. So for example, there's robotic process automation, intelligent process automation, and workflow automation. So all of these are different kinds of automation, and they do their task a little bit differently, and therefore you need to choose the right tool for the right task. Or you can also combine, of course, these tools, but again, some processes may be more beneficial to use RPA, while some other processes need workflow automation, or maybe both. And when you are having a good process that you are automating with the correct tools, you will be able to improve the return on investment again for your automation implementations. So you are ensuring that your automation actually has a good effect on this one. So that's why we analyze processes. So we need to analyze processes so that we can improve and get the most out of our operations. And what is then the best way to analyze processes? Well, I guess everybody has their opinion on what's actually the best way, and also it can depend on the situation you are in, but I will at least show you different types of methods on analysis. So first of all, we will have this traditional approach. You are probably familiar with this one. You have interviews or audits or workshops or both, all of them, with your employees across the different departments or fields for having. And you will gather information of your operations and processes like that. The thing here is that while you are using your process experts' time for these interviews and workshops, you are essentially also taking them time off from their actual daily work. So they will not be doing these tasks while they are in these workshops. And sometimes these workshops can take weeks or months to happen. Of course, like, you would not be doing it all the time, but like several days per week, for example, for a month or something like this. So you will be spending quite a bit of time here, and also the results are always subjective. So people tend to have opinions, and they tend to have bias because of those opinions. Say it's really hard for people to understand the big picture, the large overview of the whole end-to-end process. They tend to always see their own perspective, because there is always a risk for silos. And even though there would be so that the process would be transparent and so, but people still tend to have these perspectives that they consider mostly what they can do themselves and what they can affect. Then the second one is business intelligence. So business intelligence uses data, which is a really good thing. It visualizes data very well, and it gives you an overview picture of the performance you're doing. So it can tell you how much sales you made last year. It can tell you what is the value of items that had had to have rework on them last month and so on. But the real key question is, why did that rework happen? Why did we have rework in the first place? How can we get rid of it? And that is something that business intelligence isn't able to tell you that easily, because business intelligence doesn't consider the process details, the activities that are happening in the process. That's just not in the business intelligence context itself. So it doesn't really, it isn't able to explain you why that happens, why those mistakes or problems happen in the processes or operations. And here we go into the process mining. So process mining is able to give you those answers. It's able to show you exactly what process steps lead into failure and which process steps are more likely to have the perfect order rather than having failures and rework. You are able to fastly and efficiently get the objective view on your performance and processes. So you will be able to have this process mapping and show all the nasty details in that process, which is really hard for humans to think of when you are trying to do this process mapping and see what kind of activities there are within the process. So it's really hard to imagine all the small little details that happen in processes, which are again really important when you are thinking about improving the processes. Now I will demonstrate you a little bit on how, for example, we can discover automation opportunities with manual approach and with process mining approach. So, for example, you well, first of all, you always want to have your automations use a strategic objective and scope. So you want to fulfill those targets that are set. And in manual discovery approach, you first analyze processes, and you analyze processes because you want to create business cases for automation. So you want to see what automation options make the most sense. And well, if you analyze it manually, you will do those workshops, interviews, audits, and you will get some kind of results based on that. It may be more of a gut feeling analysis, or of course, sometimes you can also have good results. And then you would implement your automation based on that analysis on, like, maybe you have 5 options to choose from, and then you select one of them. And that way you either get a good automation or you don't get good automation. Then within process mining, you would be able to first, instead of creating all those workshops and interviews, you would actually collect data from your processes, so from your IT systems. And with that data, you will be able to use automatically generated analyses that are specifically made for automation. So this creates a business case for automation, and you will be able to simulate and determine which automation option is the best for you. And this method is of course based on data. So there you can have the data help you improve your business. So the data that is already in your systems. And you will be able to determine the value of your automation. So with process mining, you will be able to get rid of the human bias, and you will likely have a faster process of analysis. So analyzing itself doesn't really bring any value. The activity of analyzing only takes time and creates costs, but the output of that analysis is the really valuable and important. And it would be a shame if you don't have a trustworthy output of your analysis. And then we have a wrap up. So what did we learn today? I hope all of you can now answer these 3 questions. So, why processes are crucial? Well, in my opinion, processes are crucial because they are essentially everything you do in a business. So every action you take is some kind of process behind that, and the quality of these processes determine the quality of your operations and the performance of your business. And why do we analyze the processes? Well, we want to improve those processes so that we can improve our performance. And we need to analyze the processes so that we can understand where we need to improve on and how we can do those improvements. So what do we need to change in order to get a better end result? Then lastly, how to analyze processes. I demonstrated 3 different strategies for analyzing processes, and it's up to the user and the task on selecting which is the best one. I would really strongly suggest to have a data-based analysis so that you can have your own operational data show you the actual situation of your performance as it currently is, and also try to predict on how different decisions on improvement make changes for the future in your business. And that's my part. I'm really happy to answer some more questions. There was one excellent question over there. And you can also reach us by email anytime later on if you happen to come across a question.